name is Ellen. I'm one of the sisters here from the Verbum Dei in San Francisco, and we're very happy to be able to give this retreat, virtually, as Julia explained last night. We are no experts, so please, if there are any mistakes or anything that's not okay, just blame it on our ignorance. So today we're going to deepen what Julia introduced last night. She was giving us quite a few questions, a few challenges and images. And one of the questions she gave to us was, who is this God? Who is this God who invites me to participate in that retreat? Who is this God who walks with us these days? And how do I know this God? And what do I know about this God? What is my experience? What are my memories? And therefore, last night, Julia invited us to choose the image that most helps us in our experience with God, or the one that we are most familiar with. But today, I would like to invite you to deepen a specific image. I would like to invite you to deepen the image of God as our Creator. And not just as the Creator of the world as we know it, the Creator of beauty, the Creator of nature, the Creator of the ocean, of the stars, of the day, of the night, of the moon, but the Creator of us, the human being. As fragile as we are, as beautiful as we are, as strong as we are, He has created us. He's the one who said, let there be, not only light, but also us. He wanted human beings. What is behind His desire to have human beings? We're not just puppets to play around. He wanted people equal to Him, similar, made in His likeness, in His image. People who can understand, who can talk, who can walk with Him. It's the image of the Genesis. God walking with Adam and Eve, sharing, talking, with no shame, with total freedom. God wanted us to be with Him. And we all know that this creation story went terribly wrong. We know that somehow we walked out on that offer. But the good thing is God never walked out. When I was a teenager, I used to like to watch boxing on the TV. And when someone wanted to stop the fight, what they did, they threw a towel. They threw the towel and it meant, look, I'm done. That's it. I'm too hurt. I can't go on. And God never threw the towel on us. We did. We walked out. But He said, I am committed. I am going to continue loving you. And that is what we are going to deepen today. God, our Creator. And not just our Creator, but He created us and He created the covenant. The covenant is this eternal commitment of God to continue His love story with us, to not abandon us. And therefore, I would like us to deepen a passage from Ezekiel, Prophet Ezekiel in the Old Testament, chapter 37, verses 21 to 28. And let me start by reading this passage. I will read the passage in its entirety, and then I will give a few explanations to some of the verses, and they can help us deepen how God continues His story of love and of commitment with us. Thus says the Lord God, I will take the people of Israel from the nations among which they have gone, and I will gather them from every quarter and bring them to their own land. I will make them one nation in the land, on the mountains of Israel, and one king shall be king over them all. Never again shall there be two nations, and never again shall they be divided into two kingdoms. They shall never again defile themselves with their idols and their detestable things, or with any of their transgressions. I will save them from all the apostasies into which they have fallen, and I will cleanse them. Then they shall be my people, and I will be their God. My servant David shall be king over them, and they shall all have one shepherd. They shall follow my ordinances and be careful to observe my statutes. They shall live in the land that I gave to my servant Jacob, in which your ancestors lived. They and their children, and their children's children, shall live there forever. And my servant David shall be their prince forever. I will make a covenant of peace with them. It shall be an everlasting covenant. And I will bless them and multiply them, and I will set my sanctuary among them forevermore. My dwelling place shall be with them, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. Let us now pause for a moment to let these words spoken by our God to our hearts, to let them sink in. Our God is totally committed to us. And we see that in this beautiful reading. It can help us trying to understand what God means by covenant. When he says in verse 21, I will gather them from the nations where they went, from every quarter. It is referring to a divided Israel. At the time this was written, Israel was divided into north and south. It was divided politically. It was divided because it was invaded by other nations who wanted its richness. People were deported, people were lost, people were searching, people were poor, some people were rich. They were divided. We live in a divided world. Every time you switch on the TV station, depending which station you choose, you notice that we are divided. There isn't one only news station, one only version of the virus, one only version of politics, of the world. There are different versions. We are divided. We are also divided by social status. We are divided by culture, by immigration laws. We are divided depending on where we come from. And God says, I will gather you and make you one. He's the only one. He's the only one who can make us one. Not annulling our differences, saying they don't exist, just pretend that you're not who you are, that you don't come from where you come from. But how does he make us one? He leads us into our own land home. What does that mean? It means that he leads us into acceptance. He brings us to our own land, not geographically or culturally, but he makes us feel at home in ourselves. Isn't that a nice time to feel at home in yourself when you're enclosed in small spaces? When you can really say, I accept who I am. I feel at home in myself. And that is what he does. He reconciles in us our stories, our dramas, our suffering, our hope, our dividedness. He reconciles it and makes us capable of acceptance, of forgiveness, and of looking towards the future. And only God can do that. This retreat shows us how we are one. Maybe not in the sense, in the spiritual sense, but if you look at how fragile we are. 3 weeks ago we lived in a different world. Now, the whole world is vulnerable. The whole world is enclosed in a sense, is threatened. The whole world has shut their doors and is trying to avoid the virus. We are all fragile human beings, and the virus does not stop for a nation or for people or for anything. We are one human being, even if we pretend that we are not. But the invitation for the retreat is, instead of looking who we can blame for the situation, whether it's our lack of taking care of nature, whether it's animals to blame, whether it's China to blame, whether it's another nation, whether it's politicians who didn't care enough, let us not get lost in that. But why don't we instead look for how to best live the situation? How to let the situation bring out the best in us, bring out this desire for God, and how the situation can bring us home It can bring us to ourselves and to God. I will make them, and one king shall lead them. Never again, says verse 22 and 23, will they be divided. Never again two nations, two kingdoms, never again defiled by idols. I will save them and cleanse them wherever they have fallen and whatever they have fallen into. Doesn't it echo Jesus in his way to Easter? Doesn't it echo what Jesus has done for us? His infatigable search for the lost, for the fallen, for the marginalized, the outcast, and all of us. Doesn't it echo his search in John 10:10, the Good Shepherd who goes after us, who looks for us, who gives his life for us? The covenant is eternal. This is repeated quite a few times in this reading. The virus is not eternal, and the virus is not a punishment. I'm really so sad because so many people I've spoken with have been telling me that they think that God has punished us. And some of the preachings they've been listening to, I don't know where, even said that God sent out his four riders of death, that the world is about to end. The virus is not a punishment from God. How can it be when he says, my covenant is eternal? No matter the situation, I will save you. They will be my people and I shall be their God. That's the magic formula. Just like in a wedding. When someone says, I take you as my wife or as my husband, that's the sealing of the covenant. It's a sealing of marriage. And when we say the formula, they will be my people and I shall be their God, we are saying that God is our spouse, that he's our father, he's our God, that he's our lover, that he's our caretaker. And it means that we are his and he is ours. I will make a covenant of peace. Isn't that beautiful? A covenant of peace, and set my sanctuary among them forever. My sanctuary will be among them forever. An eternal covenant. 16 times in the Old Testament, this eternal covenant is repeated. And it usually means that it starts with Noah, it goes on to Abraham, then David, and then Jeremiah reflects on that new covenant that will come about in Jesus, who is the Messianic David. And it evokes John 10, the Good Shepherd. It reflects, in Jesus we see the reflection of the love of the Father, the care and the search of all. It's an eternal covenant. And eternal is not as long as you are young, as long as you are beautiful, faithful, as long as you have a job, as long as you are virtuous, as long as, and then you can put a list, forever. Nothing can stop his love. It is everlasting. If his love is everlasting and even goes beyond death, because in a marriage is as long as death separates, with God we never separate. It's just, we're always starting new phases, new moments of life with him. It is everlasting. How could he kill us? How could he punish us if in the end he will see us again? It just doesn't make sense. I don't believe in a God who punishes us with a virus. And in Jesus and in Easter, we see a declaration of love. Nothing will separate us from his love. I will be your God, and you will be my people. And his way of making it real is by putting his sanctuary among us. My sanctuary will be among you, it says in the reading. And sanctuary is the place where God dwells. There were times where people were afraid of him. And they thought that God couldn't be just everywhere. Oh, and that's why only Moses could see him in the cloud. But then they saw him in the fire. They saw him in the cloud, in the pillar of cloud. And then they they put him in a sanctuary so God could go with them. And then it became the tabernacle and the temple. But we know that the real temple, the real tabernacle is us. And now that we cannot go to a church, that we cannot go to the tabernacle, what better moment to become aware that the dwelling place of God is inside. This is where he chose to be. This is where he said, you will find me because I am alive. I am present. He talks to us. He guides us. And especially since Jesus came, we understand that we are his temple. We are the place where he dwells. It's his presence in us that he never abandons. No matter your situation, God is calling out to you. No matter where you fell, no matter the despair, the fear, no matter where you are, I will be your God. I will talk to you. I will give you my word. I will give you space. I will give you whatever you need. And especially now, I will comfort you. I will give you peace. A covenant of peace. An eternal covenant of peace. Why don't we this morning deepen on this word of our God, speaking in his word, speaking in our heart, spoken in nature, spoken everywhere. God promises peace. And once we ponder this peace, it will fill our heart. And it's his peace which will make us praise him, glorify him, and serve him. So today, this morning, why don't we have these moments of finding God's peace given to all of us and made visible in Jesus and in the Easter way that he will take us.